Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Ragnarok, Season 1, Episode 2. It's called 541 Meters, so full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, see when you saw the title, because it comes up at the start in this show, the title comes up after the actual title of the show.
Yep.
Were you like... Okay, how's he getting that high? How are we getting to 541 meters? That's pretty high up.
I was not considering altitude, I'll be honest with you.
For some reason my mind jumped to altitude. I guess I was thinking that's how Asgard is up or something. I don't know.
Something to do with the mountain.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even... is that particularly big for a mountain? Because...
I don't think it is, no. It's pretty small. But I mean, it could have been above where he was. I don't know, because they're already... fairly high.
I feel like I hear about mountains in feet more than I do meters, so I'm just having to think about, because I mean it's about triple this, right? Give or take for feet. So
sure, yeah, but 20,000 feet seems reasonable for a mountain. Still,
this is only 2,000, not 20,000. Your math is atrocious.
It's been a really long day.
Somehow triple of 500 is 20,000.
In my head, I went to 15. Right, for 1,500 there, and I'm thinking, well, 20,000. That sounds like in the range I hear for mountains. So I kind of went up to 2,000, but kind of
I don't
by
know.
The power of more than that.
I don't remember how many feet mountains are. Anyway, what it actually is the distance that he measures himself roughly throwing the hammer, because he finds out that the hammer he threw at the end of the first episode went quite far, because the next day the villain Demon Man complains that his car was vandalized, and when Magna's mum sees the photo, she recognizes it's her hammer. Listen, so he gets yelled at for vandalizing a car, and he's confused. He's like, I didn't do it. I was nowhere near his car.
Yeah. And then he just Google Maps straight lines it.
Yeah, well, he sees the photo, so he knows why she's accusing him of this, and he looks at Google Map and sees like how long it is. And it's actually further than this. This is the one that he actually tests, because he goes out to the school at night after he buys a new hammer for his mum. He goes out to like the football fields and whatnot, and throws it and sees how far it goes. And part of me thought it wasn't going to go any far, like that. Whatever it triggered in him before is not. He has to awaken again. It's not something he can just do casually. But no, sure enough, he throws it, and it's just ridiculous length, and it's like 541 meters. And he looked it up. The world record was in the 80s. So
it's far.
Yeah, it's spectacularly far. So unfortunately, I mean, I really like this stuff. I love the discovery of the powers and all that kind of things. I think the rest of the episode was kind of more just what I wasn't as interested in.
I think I'm out.
Yeah, I think the love interest is likable enough, so his like sort of budding sort of nervousness with her's fine. It works well enough for what it's doing. Unfortunately, everything with the party and the weird dance that happens when the certain song comes on, and Loki wearing his mum's old shirt and being like, I don't know, like, everything about it just felt so weird.
Yeah, like that was all very much. Oh, hey, hey, look, this is Loki, because a big thing in Loki in Norse mythology is just jumping back and forth between genders willy nilly. A lot.
Yeah, it's like a subtle wink, wink. Hey, obviously he's not literally doing it. He's just,
Yeah, but they're just showing that fluidity.
Yeah, and so that stuff. There's little things here or there that I liked, that I thought played well, but there was a lot of stuff with the characters that just, and it's so much of the episode, is bogged down and kind of going to this party, the interactions between the various characters, asking the love interest, whose name I'm just going to remind myself of, Gry, asking her to dance. There's a big sort of moment there. There's all these things, and it really sort of focuses on these kind of things more than it does the actual. Because the worst part for this episode's sake is that all of the interesting stuff is actually quite near the start. It's all kind of early on,
and then you're just suffering.
And then you're kind of suffering through just the mundane part of it.
I have two big kind of takeaways here. One, this feels like it's like a 2-hour movie, been stretched out into 6 45-minute episodes now. After seeing the way this was kind of
I could see that.
And the second thing is, I regret mentioning Twilight last episode on the review, because there was so much Twilight in this. Even when he's throwing the hammer, I'm like, oh, this is the good stuff. In my head, I'm seeing vampire baseball because it's very similarly kind of placed in the movie. It's a thing. Set to some muse, it's fantastically bad. It's yes, please look up vampire baseball, Pete. But yeah, there's that, and then the dance stuff, all of that. It felt like it was out of Twilight. And I was just like,
and then there was the extra element where the evil headmistress, who's the
the mother.
Yeah, the mother, who's also the headmistress and one of the English teachers. She like takes two of the teenage boys to another room for a threesome, and then possibly killing them. Although earlier on she said that they're not supposed to hurt children, so maybe she won't.
I don't think she does kill them. Just based on that, because she actually seemed quite genuine in that. Like, no, we don't kill the kids.
Yeah, but she was all evil seductress on them. I wonder if she just wipes their minds after this, or like the two of the boys just know that she's this frisky and weird and kinky. Like, I don't
maybe like the whole thing plays like this ethereal spell is going on over the whole school, right? With the dance, and it's going slow motion. And I'm like, how much is anyone taking anything in right now?
Yeah, they act as if it's weird in the dance floor, when it's because it's just the brother and sister doing this weird dance. Which, by the way, there's a lot of, I mean, again, I know they're not really brother and sister, so it doesn't really matter in that sense. But for the sake of the people watching, there's a lot of groping in this dance.
There is. To be fair, Loki joins in with them.
Yeah, that doesn't change the fact that they're groping each other as well. Still,
yeah, which is why I think like. They kind of have like this awkward applause of dance at the end, but it makes it just feel like they don't really register any of that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that introducing like brother and sister having incestuous stuff, that's creepy. A third person joins in for a threesome. No, it's normal. It's fine now.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
no, it's normal. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, there was that stuff. Like, I was okay with him questioning like the cover story for like what happened to Isabel. The idea that like the police are claiming that she got struck by lightning and that's why she was unconscious and wasn't controlling anything before she hit the power cables. And he's like, no, I was there. There was no lightning. And then the weather reports also say there was no lightning until later. Like, him questioning that and looking into it, I thought the episode was going to delve more into from that starting point, like more of him looking into. Okay, what funny business is going on? The pacing of this episode has me, a lot less convinced of how far the plot's actually going to be by the end of the 6th episode. When we finished the first episode and it had that big climatic moment with, him throwing the hammer and the lightning, I thought, by the end of the season, he's going to know what he is. And season 2 would be completely different. This episode has me convinced that he'll still not really be sure what he is by the time we even get to the end of a second season. Maybe.
Yeah.
It feels like the pacing's a lot more... I guess network TV, which is a shame. I mean, it's still more serialized than that for the most part because it's, everything's kind of moving forward with the characters as opposed to
it is, yeah,
procedural things. But
this is such a letdown of an episode, really, because episode 1 wasn't perfect. We said, it has all these elements that we're not big on, but it's got this other stuff that's a lot of fun, and it just dived headfirst into all the stuff that we didn't really like, and it's just. You kind of knew after about 10 minutes into this episode, you're like, okay, starting to get an idea of this is what the show actually is, not what we were hoping.
I think the elements we liked will still be there and will come in occasionally, but it's definitely clear after this one that it is much more of a teen drama first, and all the other things are secondary. And that can be fine, because obviously other shows, such as that television show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, will do that very well, and there'll be a great balance, and you'll like both elements for a start, because it'll just be more fun, and the characters are so much fun to be around, but everything will be the themes. This feels a bit more like, there was a comment in the first review actually that made me laugh. It's like Smallville but set with like Thor instead of Superman, and I kind of disagree with that comment in the first episode, because I felt like it was moving out through things at a lot more of a pace where it doesn't feel like it's dragging its heels, whereas this episode I'm like, no, it feels a bit closer to Smallville after this one actually. But
it does, yeah,
bit friskier, but definitely
yeah, probably not so frisky that, I mean, you could do this on the CW now.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything visually that means you can't do it in network TV. I think just tonally it feels a bit friskier, if that makes sense. That said, though, I mean, I guess some stuff like Riverdale's probably getting...
Yeah, Riverdale's like horny as shit.
Getting relatively close to this. Yeah, it's kind of on the borderline, I think. It's kind of like, Riverdale had that teacher, student relationship, and people kind of crucified it for it. I think Pardon me. I think
Bless you.
this is just one little nudge further because it's like she's not necessarily like there's no implication necessarily that she's using her powers to make them do it, but it does feel a bit more like predatory. I mean, not that it's not predatory in the first place, but that's what feels more like she's kind of using her powers to.
I get that, but weirdly, I feel like this almost lets them get away with it a bit more
Because it's supernatural. Yeah,
it's supernatural, and she is actively villainous as opposed to in Riverdale.
Yeah, that's true.
She wasn't necessarily a villain.
That's true. I'm thinking more just the way it was shot though, because you actually see them, grabbing boob at one point. I don't think you see that in the CW.
No, you'd have to cut like 3 or 4 seconds out of this to get it onto CW.
Yeah, not a lot, but yeah, there's the odd little thing that just makes it feel a bit more. At one point, like I think her foot comes up and starts rubbing one of the boys' chests, and I'm like even the fact that even seeing her do that to this supposed teenager, I'm sure he's barely a teenager, but like. Even seeing the visual of that, it just makes it feel more risky than anything.
Sure, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing. This is probably. I mean, there's been F-bombs and stuff, so I'm sure it's still technically, at least like a whatever ratings Norway has. But like,
yeah, God knows.
But like, I've got a feeling that a lot of the riskier stuff in terms of the sex stuff is probably okay at the same like sort of PG-13 level, just because. It's Europe, and it's a bit more easygoing with that stuff.
That is true, yeah.
That would be my guess. But yeah, and this episode was a little bit longer, but it wasn't much. It was negligible of difference. It was like 2 or 3 minutes.
The episode length is not a inherent problem because it's still barely longer than a network episode, right?
Because episode 1 did the thing that I think we always say episode 1 should do, is that they have that hook. They have that thing at the end. There's a good story on its own that has a beginning, middle, and end, but the ending has that hook that says, hey, this is why you're coming back. This is why you care about the continuation of this beyond just you kind of liked whatever was happening before. This episode... Actually, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, and we don't do a lot of network stuff anymore, but it kind of does have that episode 2 syndrome of... not necessarily so much that it feels the need to recap everything, because it just wouldn't need to do that because it's a Netflix show, but just in the sense that it has that kind of sophomore slump of an episode where it's just it can't quite it doesn't want to catapult the story that far, so it has to just kind of linger where
I think
left off.
I'm a lot more forgiving of that on network, where it is the next week, and you're like trying to just establish who your characters are. To mostly we're talking about new characters, new IPs here. It's always annoying, but I'm a lot more forgiving of it. And whereas here, it's on Netflix, so it's not got that going for it. It's only 6 episodes, so if you lose an entire episode to that matters a lot more.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that the next one is going to be back to just what episode 1 was.
No, I think episode 1 was like, here, let's hook them out the gate with the bigger stuff, and then 2 has settled into a groove of okay, this is what the show actually is going to be most episodes. And
there could be some interesting stuff that happens because, the demon boy, because he pisses on the memorial, candles and stuff for Isolde, he gets the shit beat out of him from Demon Father. And, there's one point where, and I'm saying demons, they're more like gods, but whatever. Like,
I think giants is probably what they are.
Giants, yeah. Because at one point he was talking about being worshipped. They used to worship as yada.
Yeah, but it's more because it's gods versus giants. I suspect they fall more on the giant side of things because they tend to be more evil.
But Gry sees some of this. She sees some of this fight happening. To say fight, this beating, and
it's very one-sided.
But potentially there could be interesting things that come from that. But we've got a lot to do, and I feel like it had enough interesting things in episode 1 to kind of hook us a little bit, and I feel like episode 2, it didn't have to be as necessarily even as good as what episode 1 had.
I just think there needs to be a better balance between the fun things and the teenage drama. And I mean, if the teenage drama was better, that wouldn't be a problem. But that was already the element we were least into. And I feel like this doubled down hard on the percentage of the runtime that stuff was in this episode. Yeah,
without getting any better.
Yeah.
If anything, worse, because that dance stuff was worse than anything in episode 1.
Oh, easily.
It was this, slow motion dancing for, a good couple of minutes as the song was playing. Not super just. I did like there was one little moment actually where when he first comes back out of school, and Gry comes up to him. This is the first time they've seen him since Isolde's death, and she's like, hey, you were up there, what happened? And she eventually says, why did you leave her on her own? And I liked that his brother, Loki, was like standing right there, and so I said, "Oh, we should get going." And I'm like, "Yeah, your prank left her on her own. You're like the most responsible person in this room." And I thought,
I'm sure he knows.
But I wonder if there's any remorse there. Is there any remorse from Loki, or is it just?
It doesn't seem to be, but I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting point.
I feel like him being Loki is actually the most interesting part of this episode consistently, because even in the high school sections, he's still acting like, screw it, I'm gonna be a prankster bitch.
Mm.
And I feel like that's kind of enjoyable throughout, even in the terrible sections.
I don't know. He was a big part of all the stuff I didn't like in the dance.
He was, but he was never responsible for the bad stuff, and he was tended to be one of the more enjoyable elements of those bad scenes, for me at least.
Okay, yeah, all right. I don't feel super strong about it. What I thought was funny is there was a lot of time in the episode spent to building up to the funeral, and then the funeral was just you're skipped, because the end of the episode is they come back home and someone has ransacked their house. And presumably they're looking for her, because that's the whole thing. They're looking for the phone of Isolde's phone, because it might have photos on it. Because he kind of admits that she saw more stuff than she was supposed to, without getting too specific.
Why he killed her.
Yeah. So yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're out after episode 2 here. But hey, it is what it is. We're going back to Lost in Space. I actually just rewatched the last episode of Lost in Space. We don't have tape to record it right now at the time of recording, but we will be doing that soon because I just rewatched it.
It's coming.
Yeah. So let us know what you thought of episode 2 of this. If you did finish the show, let us know what you thought. There was a couple of comments as well, actually, in the first one, of people who'd watched the whole thing, which is not surprising. It was 6 episodes. It didn't take that long. If you
wanted to, would be very easy to just watch in one sitting for a lot of people.
So yeah, let us know what you thought of the episode, though. Let us know what you think of the show. Reception seems to have been mixed to somewhat positive, but not glowing.
It's funny, like, looking at our comments, that's the thing. But when I did do a quick Google after we did our review on the first one, just to see what others were feeling, the critics' consensus was, even on that first, was a lot more negative than ours. And I don't know if that's because they'd been given all the episodes or some of the episodes in advance, and they'd seen. They
might have done, because that tends to be how these binge shows are given to the press.
It is, but it is with Netflix. I don't know if that applies to a lot of their smaller foreign shows as well.
Yeah. So first episode had some promising elements, and I stand by that. And I still liked how it made me care about Isolde before she died, but episode 2 just doubled down on all the things that weren't working, and I don't necessarily feel confident that it's going to change that. And we have other things to do. Lock and Key start next week, so a few episodes of Lost in Space to do, and all things are on the way. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get all the content, keep all the content coming, is what I'm trying to say. But that is it, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?